So the tug of war then that the flesh and the spirit is going through is that the spirit wants to possess the flesh, and the flesh doesn't want the spirit to possess it. The flesh wants to possess the spirit, but they're like, who's going to possess who? So then we have to bring our flesh into subjection to the spirit of us. Let the spirit possess the flesh. So then the flesh begins to move like a spirit. And all of those little, all of that confinement becomes something that you just move through. Wow. And you just, because your spirit has taken control of your direction and the steps you take and what you create and how you create. Greetings, greetings, greetings to everyone who has tapped into this video. Greetings. You're having a great morning, great day so far. I I just wanted to talk out some things out loud because I was sitting here in the sanctuary like I am now. And you know, it's a very like a really unique position to be in when you really start tapping into your creative energy, and you're creating, right? And so you feel really good about something you've created, and it's like a shedding away of evolution. Is a shedding away. It's a process of shedding, and it's like a process that I find doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. Your evolution doesn't stop. It's not supposed to. And there's a beauty in that. And right now what I'm experiencing when it comes to the concept of evolution is the subtle effects of the physical world and the physical realm, even when it comes to the things that you are creating from your divine essence. It is a constant battle or constant war within the physical aspects of yourself and the spiritual aspects, because the spirit is constantly moving, but the physical aspects don't move as fast as the spirit do. And so I find myself a lot of times in a bit of a tug of war between the physical, a healthy tug of war, not one of those imbalanced, I find myself in a tug of war that is healthy, but it is indeed a tug of war between the physical aspect of me and the spiritual aspect when it comes to creation and creating and manifesting. What am I manifesting? What I'm manifesting today may may change tomorrow. What I desire today may change tomorrow because I'm an evolving spirit. It's almost like the masculine has a very tedious job of keeping up with the feminine aspect. Like he has to keep up with her because she's constantly moving. She's constantly re-seeing things and thinking about things differently and wanting to choose something different. Whenever she creates something, she looks at it and then says, okay, I could have did that better. Let me do this way now. She creates that and then it's okay, I can add this. Let me add this to this now. Let me take that away now that I've added that. And it's a constant adding and taking away. It's mathematics, it's subtracting, it's multiplying, it's dividing. It is all of these things we call mathematics. The masculine has the job of not getting so locked into what she is creating and what he is then working to bring forth for her, that he begins to like he begins to not want to keep up with her because she's constantly adding, subtracting, taking away. Boom, let me add that, let me subtract that, let me divide that, let me multiply that. You know what I mean? You know, it's a beautiful process when you really yield to it. When you really, really yield to the idea of you as creator. Knowing that you are created, so there is a higher frequency that has brought you forth, but they created us to be creators. And so when we say this is the purpose for my life, this is my vision, this is my this is what I want to do, this is what I want to execute, this is what I want to see come forth. I think a lot of people become disgruntled with what they're manifesting or what they've created because it, the element of change is necessary, especially when you haven't quite narrowed down. You're creating per the spirit. You're creating divinely. You're getting up every day and saying, this is what I feel today. Like, for instance, even with Sacred Empowerments of the Divine Feminine and the platform here, and I really appreciate everybody's support, and thank you so much for tapping in with me even today, but I'm using that as an example. What I'm creating here on YouTube, I have a system in which I receive the downloads from my spirit team to go within and record and share. But today I didn't feel that. I didn't feel to go through the system, the protocol of how I retrieve, because I'm a living, breathing antenna. I'm me, my life, right? And what I'm experiencing as a creative. So I didn't feel led to do that today, you know, because within me, I'm feeling the joy and the beauty of that aspect of me, that me as the masculine in female form. So I don't want to get caught in gender, you know, but me as the divine, me, the physical me, Yolanda. When I go within and I retrieve information from soul and spirit, which is the feminine aspect, there's a beauty that I find. There's a joy that I'm filled with when I realize that, for one, I'm capable of actually doing that, because a lot of people still haven't come to the place of being capable of doing that. And I have a vision as a creator. I have, my divine feminine has given me a vision of what I'm building and what I'm creating. But then someday she comes back and she says, okay, I don't know if I want that you didn't, not that's not how I want to execute that. There's a change here. It may be a momentary change, or it may be a complete overhauling of the way in which things are done. And it's like my divine feminine is constantly seeking for me as the masculine to choose the simplest way, because with the human aspect of me is under a lot of these astrological powers and these energies. Your physical aspect, your masculine is under the sway of powers, the planets, the stars. So you have a lot. The physical world is bombarding the masculine daily. Daily, the masculine aspect of you has to deal with what he is hearing and what he's experiencing, and how to navigate and bring forth what the feminine aspect wants to see, while he's being guarded by the planets and the moon and the sun and the stars. And you got a whole chart worth of energy that is swaying you. That is swaying you. So today, it's like she said to me, sweetie, can you just choose the simplest way possible to do what it is you are called and chosen and purpose to do? It's like there's a simplicity that my divine feminine aspect is trying to get to. And the masculine aspect of me is trying to create that. He is creating that. I am creating that. And I still haven't gotten to the simplest form of what she's trying to create. This is the paradigm. This is the swing of the pendulum between the spirit and the masculine, the spirit and the physical. There's a pendulum. It's on a swing. It's a tug of war. And I have the job as the masculine of my feminine to daily yield. When she brings it to my attention, you're pulling against me. This is what I've come over this way. Choose the simplest way, because you are under the sway of these energies that want to make it complicated. Your mind, you're conceptualizing through the physical mind and the synapses and the nerves and all of this stuff that's going on in this computer. It complicates everything. But I'm trying to get you to come this way. And I feel like this is one of the things that, as a Virgo, a lot of Virgos, and I have, of course, other signs in my chart, but as a Sun Virgo, sun sign, we deal with this. We deal with this overcomplication of things. But I think this is a little bit in every sign. It may show up differently though. It may show up a little differently because we're all here in this dense energy as spirits. And so the spirit of us wants to be able to just move freely. But the physical world is dense, it's heavy. So that is when you try to swing this way, there's the idea of yourself that you have to get rid of, because it's limiting how far you can swing that way. When you try to swing this way, you have another aspect of the physical realm that's trying to limit how you swing. And your spirit, the divine feminine, is constantly seeking to be able to just move freely. She doesn't like to be limited. To me, this is like when the scripture says that the flesh cannot be subject to the spirit, that the flesh is constantly at war with the spirit, that the flesh and the spirit are enmity towards each other. It is neutralizing that war. It is neutralizing. bringing bringing it to an end. For the flesh wars against the spirit, and it cannot indeed be subject to the spirit, for it is enmity against the spirit. I have a mind that I find is working separate and apart from the mind of the spirit. And so we have to do a really good job of daily surrendering. This is why Paul said, I beat my body and I bring it under subjection daily, daily. There's a beauty in yielding. It ain't easy though. And it happens in phases and in cycles. What I mean by that is learning how to yield. You're going to constantly be constantly being brought into the awareness of the very minute ways in which you are not completely yielding. There's a beauty in that though. I was sitting here and I was just kind of in meditation and I was coming in and out, listening to music and doing my morning situation. And I was like, I'm recording today, but I don't feel led to go through the protocol of how I retrieve the messages. I just don't feel like that today. Today, right? And I started to go within and listen to the divine feminine. And she was like, I'm trying to get you to the simplest. I'm trying to get you to the simplest path that is going to bring you directly to your purpose. It's almost like it's not a concept of me overthinking. It's just me coming to another level of awareness of uh, the shedding that takes place, the shedding that is necessary. It's like it's such a joyful experience because I can remember when overthinking things was the issue in a more prevalent way. And I see myself yield. I see it. I can see like, okay, boom, not making any excuses, not procrastinating. I used to overthink to the point where I would just procrastinate and I would just like, till I figured out I ain't gonna do nothing. So I'm always walking around in this constant state of confusion as it relates to my destiny and trying to reach things. And in between the confusion, I'm just working like everybody else, functioning like everybody else, just doing what I was told I'm supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? And it was really, really causing me to be um displeased with this whole experience we call life. But what I can say now is like this aspect of life no longer frustrates me. This constant changing, this constant evolving, this constantly having to relook at, reanalyze. It doesn't frustrate me. You know, it's a beautiful process just to be able to do it, just to be mindful of it. I just like the smell of that. I will sit here and burn it down. If you've been following the channel for a while, then you know that Sacred Empowerment of Divine Feminine from the time that I conceived it. has gone through several different phases of how I deliver the messages, what the videos look like. It's gone through a lot of different phases. And that's just a natural process of being on YouTube, because you kind of have to find what works, what doesn't work. But at the same time, even that is one of those up. There's a limit there, because this is the way you got to do it, because you're on, like, you got to, it's got to be this way, because this is how the people want to do, to digest the information. But what if that's not fitting in the flow of my spirit? What if that method and that form is not fitting with the flow of my spirit? What if it's too constricting and too confining and too, you know what I mean, too rooted in something that doesn't feel like I'm in agreement with? And so you do this tap dance, you know what I mean? You do this tap dance trying to figure out how to bring forth what you're trying to bring forth, as it is a fraction of a much bigger vision. But it's like when you go within, the divine feminine begins to express to you how to execute it with without all of the unnecessary additives. She'll add and she'll take away and she'll divide and she'll multiply what you're doing. I went through a multiplication phase and then I stripped it. And then I went through an add phase and I changed it and I subtracted and then this and then, because I'm still trying to get to the simplest form, not the simplest form of my channel, but the simplest form of my divine expression as a divine being. And everything that I create is an extension of that, and therefore goes through subsequently the same changes. But change is divinity. Evolution is spiritual. Change and transformation is spirituality. So if I am a spiritualist, which is what I call myself, among other things, my job is to investigate the process of spirituality and being spiritual and being a spirit while possessing a body. While possessing a body. Mm, mm. Woo. Hold on, wait a minute. We talk about spiritual possession all the time when it comes to possessing a spirit outside of your own. We always talk about spiritual possession, like they've been possessed with a spirit. When we're talking about possessing a spirit that is outside of our own, whether it be a tranquil spirit, a demonic spirit, an angelic spirit, an ancestral spirit, an animal spirit. We'll talk about, oh, they've been possessed or I'm possessed. But we are all under possession of we're under spiritual possession, because we are a body possessing a spirit, housing a spirit. Never thought about that like that until this moment. I never thought about that like that until this moment. I'm sure many people who are gonna watch this are probably gonna say, damn, I never thought about that. When we all think about spiritual possession, being under possession, we don't speak of it in the terms of our spirit. We are housing a spirit as a physical body. I am a body possessing a spirit. Not a spirit outside of the essence of me, but the essence of me is a spirit. So we're all under spiritual possession. We're all possessed by something. We're all possessing something. We're all possessing a spirit. The difference in being possessed by a spirit is that the spirit is what's leading the physical body. So when we're talking about our own spirit, that's kind of the whole point of spiritual growth, is to let the spirit possess you, not you it. Ooh, shit. Let your spirit possess you. Wow. Wow. I don't know if I'm articulating this in a way that's like hitting your psyche. And maybe you already know this is confirmation, but I'm just getting this right now in this moment when we talk about spiritual possession. So the tug of war then that the flesh and the spirit is going through is that the spirit wants to possess the flesh, and the flesh doesn't want the spirit to possess it. The flesh wants to possess the spirit, but they're like, who's going to possess who? So then we have to bring our flesh into subjection to the spirit of us. Let the spirit possess the flesh. So then the flesh begins to move like a spirit. And all of those little, all of that confinement becomes something that you just move through. Wow. And you just, because your spirit has taken control of your direction and the steps you take and what you create and how you create. I'm a creative, but I'm a spirit. So I have to create like a spirit. And not within the limitations of the physical world, because the limitations of the physical world will limit what I can create, how I can create, how much I can create, when I can create. The physical world will limit me. I'm a creative, but I'm a spirit first. These are the moments that I have privately with spirit that I don't typically record. And I think that's what she's saying. Like, the simplest, the path of less resistance, least resistance. Not saying there was anything wrong with what I've created before, because all of that was necessary. All of that, and there may be a moment or day where I'm like, okay, boom, let me do it the protocol way, and let me receive the protocol way, and put a message out. You know what I'm saying? Or let me not do that today, and let me create music today. Or not today, I'm not doing anything today. You know, that's being okay with that. Being okay. Being okay. Being okay. Another level of embracing how I create as a spirit. This is another level of awareness. But the community that I'm building here on YouTube is like my baby to me. And to every individual who subscribes, who listens to the videos, you know, I'm not a content creator. Like, I'm not on here just to create content. You know what I'm saying? My purpose is to share in a way that those who find find the channel can possibly use in order to further evolve themselves. So I literally wake up, go to bed, and think about my this channel. I think about it. I think about the subscribers that have already subscribed. I think about what I'm really careful as to what I bring forth and what I don't bring forth, and what I say and what I don't say. Not to the point to where I like I used to would and just don't say nothing. Not to that point, but I realize the responsibility of being the mouthpiece for the divine. This is not something that I particularly take lightly. So yes, I tweak things and I tweak this and I tweak that. I have messages that I haven't even released yet because I haven't been released to release. You understand? But it's like it's like my spirit is still trying to say, okay, let's reevaluate because I'm still trying to get you to the path of the least resistance. And that path is always going to be the spiritual path for you. Can't speak for nobody else. I can't speak for nobody else. But moving in the spirit, speaking in the spirit, however you go about getting the message, but speaking in the spirit, which is what I've always done. But I feel there's another level of awareness that you could still simplify it even more. You could simplify it. How do I simplify it, divine feminine? And today I sat down and I got a meditation and I was just like, I'm just going to share what I experience, what I'm experiencing right now, because I just don't feel like going through the protocol for anything other than what I'm experiencing right now. What I'm experiencing right now is spirit. What I'm experiencing right now is sacred empowerment. So share it. The and I mean all I had to do was turn the camera on. I didn't have to go get no notes. I ain't had to write no notes. I ain't had you know what I mean? Like I ain't had to do any of that. And I don't know if this message or what I'm talking about right now, what I'm recording right now is going to help anybody. But again, the path of least resistance is that I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to worry about that. Because when you're moving in the spirit, those who need to receive are going to receive. You're showing individuals, how to be comfortable with the changes of the swings of evolution. You understand what I'm saying? Like this is a part of being divine. And you may be creating something differently. You may be an artist, you may be an author, you may be a musician, you may build houses. I don't know. You understand what I'm saying? But what I do know is that you are a spirit. You are possessing a spirit. Like I am possessing a spirit. And so the task we have as the masculine is to let the spirit possess us. While we possess it, yes, but let it possess us. Meaning move, find peace and joy in the movement, in the sway of the spirit, because spirit is not stagnated. And like I said in the previous message that I posted up the other day, divine feminine is always trying to discover what pleases her. Her pleasure is her driving force. there's a love that I can't even express. There's a frequency in love between the divine masculine and the divine feminine that can't even put to words when you yield to her. When you yield to her, there's a love you begin to feel, but you can't verbalize because there's really any words we have that would express the love we have for other people are not sufficient. Any words we would use to express the love we have for something is not efficient. The language of love, the love languages of the world are not sufficient when you as the masculine reach the frequency of love for your divine feminine self. Your love language becomes less about verbalizing or less about, physical manifestations of gift giving, or, it becomes more sensual. Sensuality is felt, is sensed. It's not necessarily something you can necessarily verbalize. The love that the masculine has for divine femininity that he gets to experience and she gets to experience when they are in unity, when you have harmonized them, because you start to see her beauty, her capability, her wisdom is the mother's wisdom is like your little finite mind cannot like really wrap itself around her infinite wisdom and the way she even navigates you as an individual masculine expression of herself, like the way she can navigate your faults, your imperfections, your mistakes, your failures, all of it becomes part of this beautiful story. All of it becomes a part of this beautiful GPS system, this navigation system. So then the masculine stops self-tormenting itself, with feeling unqualified and incapable and not worthy. The masculine is like it's just a shedding. He can sit it down because all of the things that the world will tell you that unqualifies you or makes you unworthy of certain things, all of this begging for forgiveness on certain things, and the sin, hell, and the grave, all of these weights and condemnations and judgments of you become irrelevant because all of your imperfections, your mistakes, your failures, your hurts, your traumas become part of this beautiful navigation system. When you yield to her, though, he can't discover this without the mother. He cannot discover this, whether you are male or female. It cannot discover this without him yielding to his mother, to the divine feminine aspect of itself. But when you do, there's just a beauty. It's just, I don't know. There's a glory. There's a majesty. Her wisdom is mind blowing. She will tell you what she wants to see from you. She will tell you what she wants to experience through you. She will tell you. Most of us walk around not listening. Not listening. And so we can have a lot of whatever and we can have a little of whatever as it relates to practical life and still be just as unsatisfied. And we can't put our finger on like why. I have a lot. Why am I like, why do I feel like I always need more to be satisfied? Because you have a lot of stuff that's not what she's wanting to experience. Not saying she's wanting you to experience lack per se, but it's you still lacking in the things she wants to experience through you. You have a lot of practical things, but there's still something she wants to experience that you haven't given to her. So it's like she will get you there. This is like what I think of when I think of divinity, when I think of the concept of the mother and God the Father, the cosmic Father, the divine family, the deities, these natural, these spirits of nature and deities of nature and things like that, these powers. When I think of the astrological signs and the charts and the planets, they're all tools. They're all tools. All of it. That you can use as a body possessing a spirit to further help you as the body allow the spirit to possess you. What spirit? Your spirit. The spirit of you. You as a spiritual essence is supposed to possess you, not just you it. And we have been indoctrinated into just the you possess it. You got a spirit. We use a spirit inside of us. We all have a spirit. We have to trust soul and spirit, because we have a soul and a spirit inside of us. And we think of the spirit as inside of us. We think of our spirit as inside of us. So we are housing a spirit. But how often do we really conceptualize that we are being housed in our spirit? Like the physical body is inside of its spirit. And that unawareness of how it actually is, like the spirit of you is housing you. You are possessed by your spirit. But because we are not taught to think of it that way, then we have become overly fleshly. We have become disconnected to the way it actually it's supposed to be. So these little mind fuckeries is what keeps a lot of us from reaching where we actually have the right to reach the consciousness, the spiritual effectiveness, that we have the right to reach these little mind fuckeries of how things have been passed to us, how things have been taught to us and given to us. It's backwards. Most of us think of our spirit as being within us, but we have to like think about that, rethink about that. Maybe the spirit of ourselves is not in us. Maybe we are in our spirit. So we are being we the physical is possessed by the spirit, not the physical possessing the spirit. Because there's a difference there, because it speaks to who then is in leadership. Is the spirit leading you? Is the spirit possessing you, or are you possessing a spirit, and therefore is the physical you that is in leadership? And this is why you have so much tug of war. This is why the flesh and the spirit is constantly at war, because you think the spirit is in you and the spirit is not in you. You are supposed to be realizing that you are in your spirit, not your spirit in you. Because whoever's in the other one is the one that is being led by. Whoever is the within is the one that's being led by. So if we are walking around and living our life thinking that our spirit is within us, then that would cause a tug of war. Because then your flesh would be what's guiding you and informing you. Or not even informing you, you would just be doing some shit. You're just doing stuff and you're not even thinking about it. You're not even realizing, like, is this the way I'm supposed to be doing this? Is the way I'm supposed to be going? So for instance, like when we think about, spiritual possession, when it comes to, like I said, the way we normally think about it, when somebody's possessed by a spirit, they're possessed by a demon, they're possessed by an angel, they're possessed by, an tranquil spirit, they're possessed by an ancestor, whatever the case may be. We're saying that they are possessed by that spirit because we can see that that spirit has control over the flesh of them. That's why we say they're possessed by a spirit, because we see that that spirit has control over their flesh. So what do we take that same concept when we're talking about our own spirit? If possession points to who is in control, then why don't we take that same idea when we're talking about our own spirit? I think that's the idea, that we're supposed to be applying the concept of possession. Who is controlling this person? So if we can think that a demon can control a physical person and cause a physical person to be like bending up and crawling all on walls, and if we think that a demon can do that to a person, why, when it comes to our own spirit, we don't think that our own spirit is supposed to also be in possession of us and therefore controlling us and not us it? Because the way we think about our own spirit is we think of us being like we are housing a spirit, which means that we would be possessing a spirit. We are a human body possessing a spirit, having spirit. But we don't think of our spirit as being possessed by it. It's only when some demons or something come in that we start talking about somebody's possessed by a spirit and the spirit has control of the physical body. But when we start talking about our own spirit, then it's like, yeah, I have a spirit. I'm a human, but I got spirit. I'm a spirit. I'm spirit. We don't think about it in terms of you're possessed by your spirit. So your spirit has control of you. Your divine feminine has control of your masculine. Like we'll say, thank you to the soul and spirit. We'll say gratitude to soul and spirit. We're showing gratitude to soul and spirit, which means that we think that soul and spirit is at service to us. When really soul and spirit is saying, you telling me thank you? Like, no, thank you. You know what I mean? Thank you for doing what I said. Thank you for doing, appreciate you for listening to me as the masculine, as the physical, and doing what I said. We think of soul and spirit as at service to us, which it's a unity. So it goes both ways, but we're always thinking of soul and spirit as at service to us. You are the masculine. You are at service to you. You, the tangible, you are at service to your soul and spirit. It's not your soul and spirit that's serving you. That is the feminine aspect of you. She's like, no, thank you. Thank you for finally yielding. Thank you. Because I've been saying this since you've been born. I've been saying that I've been getting you to this point. You are following my lead, whether you want to or not, whether you know it or not. So it becomes even more beautiful when you do become aware of it, because like there's a lot of people walk around and they're not aware of what's going on. So it becomes it's like thank like whoa, I get the ability to be aware of spiritual truth. It becomes even more beautiful. It becomes even more of like, you know, you feel special. You know what I mean? Because becoming aware of these things is not the easiest thing to do. Don't let nobody fool you that being spiritual is easy. And this shit ain't easy. Because there's so much that the physical masculine has to cut through to be able to get into a place where it can surrender to divine order. Y'all just, if you've tapped in with me for a while, you know what I'm saying, and the channel is growing and going to continue to grow, going to continue to grow. Um, my advice, not even my advice, but just enjoy the journey of what this is becoming with me. I invite you in to enjoy the journey of what this is becoming with me. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I appreciate everyone's support thus far. Those of you who have liked, those of you who have shared, you have commented. Um, it's a process on YouTube. You know what I mean? But it's not a process that I got to be concerning myself with. Really, again, like keeping resistance away. I'm not trying to create resistance by overthinking what it is and what it ain't and yada yada yada. So I've received your comments, and in all of your comments, those of you who have commented that have let me know how certain things that I have said have really helped or impacted. I don't want you to understand something. That means more to me than 200,000 people following. That means more to me than 14,000 likes. That one or two little comments that I get every so often while we're growing and stuff means a lot to me, because that's my point for being on here. I have other than that, I have no interest in this shit. But you know, when you comment and you let me know that something I said was what you needed to hear, something I said helped you see something a different way. Like I had one guy when I first started. I wasn't even doing sacred empowerments at that time. I was just doing something I was calling sacred rants and raves. I wasn't doing sacred empowerments at that time, and I put up an hour-long video just on, I don't even know what I was talking about, but a young man commented and he said that he had been going through months of depression, and something that I said helped him, and it snapped, though it broke that off of him, that depression off of him. I don't know if he's still watching, but if you are, you know what I'm saying, I hope all is well with you, sir. I hope all is well with you. But that's what I do this for. I don't I want expansion and growth. So I'm not saying I don't care, because all of that equates, the subscribers, the growth, the likes, it all equates to growth in my mind. It doesn't equate to like, oh, I'm popular. I'm an influencer. Like, fuck all that. I'm a content creator. Like, nah, I can shut all this shit down, reopen my damn bakery, and be a millionaire in a year. That's how well I do shit. I don't have to, and I could keep spiritually evolving and never come on here and do any of this. You understand what I mean? So I don't participate in this social media stuff for the sake of participating. So all of your comments, all of your likes, everything is well, appreciated. I appreciate the support, and I appreciate the spirit for being able to put me in a position to say something that you can take with you in your evolution. That's what I do all of this for. I don't do this for, I don't, you know, just not interested in it like that. You know what I mean? I'm really not. So I mean, I don't know, just ride the journey, take this journey with me if you choose to. I invite you, is what I'm saying, to take this journey with me. You know what I'm saying? And for those of you who will continue to rock out with me here on the channel, appreciate it. Cause I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm literally still learning myself, and learning every day. It's a daily process to become more and more and more and more aware of the different aspects of you, and how your spirit is wanting to create through you. That's a daily thing. That's a daily thing. And it's to be celebrated and embraced. If you're one of those people who, you're constantly dibbling in this and dibbling in that, and this week you over here doing this, and next week you think you want to do that, embrace that about yourself. You're not no zombie. You're actually a living soul. Embrace that. Don't let nobody make you feel like, oh, you always doing, you'll never stick to nothing and do nothing. Like, embrace that. Eventually, you're going to find the thing that really feeds you. And it may be all of it. It may be all of it. Like, you may need all of the things that you are interested in and passionate about in order to be you. You need all of it. So, no, I'm not cherry picking. I'm not this or that. I'm this and. I do this and that. I don't do this or that. That's for single, solitary, one-track minded zombies. You know what I mean? Like, no, I'm multifaceted. I am a spirit with manifold expressions, right? So if you're a little bit like, don't embrace that. That is divine femininity. She's not just a healer. She's also a warrior. She's not just a warrior. She's also a mother. She's not just a mother. She's also a lover. You understand what I'm saying? She's not just a lover. She's also a protector and a provider. She's many things. That's why we have so many different goddess aspects, right? So she's not just light. She's also darkness. You know? And so as divine feminines, embrace that. Because the world will try to tell you, you need to just pick one thing and just do that till you die, child. So why? I'm gonna die anyway. I might as well do all. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not me. The physical is not permanent. The spirit of me is permanent. So what the spirit wants to see and create, while the physical me is here in this dimension as a representative, that's what we do. So I invite you to continue to stay on your own journey. Like, embrace your journey. You know what I mean? And I invite you to embrace my journey, and I embrace your journey. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, it is like when I think about these things, I'm like, this is how we can get out of all of this fucking judgment of each other. And ooh, just it just like I don't know, it bothers my ear gate, and I have to challenge myself to not be in judgment of other people. And you know what I mean? Judging. Why did he do that? Why did he do that? What is that? I don't know what that. Like just like chill with that. Cause see, that's toxic masculinity. Now I'm not talking about a spiritual judge, being a judge in the spirit. That has a lot to do with what spirit is possessing you. Cause not all of us have that in the spiritual, right? So, you would have to discover that about yourself, which is why I'm very careful with my words. When people do cross me wrong, I'm very careful because I understand what is housing me, So when she speaks judgment and then tells me to speak it in the earth, you know, that's what has to be done. Just like when she gives me some music and I have to go and create the music that she gave me. It's the same thing, right? When I'm talking about human judgment, judging each other in a humanistic way. We can get past all of that when we start really healing and bringing things back into its proper alignment within ourselves, because you cannot be in this kind of divine union between your feminine and your divine masculine and not see the beauty. I mean, at least from my experience. So this has been Sacred Empowerment under the Power of Femininity, y'all. Thank you for tapping in. Um, yeah, I may end up even changing the whole energy. I don't know. I don't know what this means, because this feels like just turning on the camera and speaking without going through the writing of the notes and the this and the that and do. It feels better to me. It feels better to me. I do want to make sure that I am saying something, that I'm not just ranting, but I'm saying something that can be used. But I feel like, again, do what divine feminine say do, and let the shit fall where it falls, because you don't know how you're going to help people. Just in me going through this process on camera could help somebody to understand how they need to yield to their divine feminine aspects that is trying to bring something to what they're creating. So sometimes you got to learn how to stay out the spirit business and just take the instructions and just move accordingly, right? Yeah, right. I love you guys. Peace, family. I'll see you on the next one, all right?